What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we have a very exciting deck profile, something very different. I haven't seen too many on this. We're actually going to be looking at Dragonic Overlord The Turnabout in V-Series. So this was actually coming out of the premium kind of reprint set. This was for printed for Kagero. Essentially, this came out in Japan, but we never got it in English. This kind of follows Kai's unit from his Euro travels and whatnot in the Euro League. That manga never got published in English, I don't think. So overall, I think this is a really great starting point for V if you're a Kagero fan. Has a great, just overall cohesive kind of play style, very easy to pilot, which is why I think it's kind of good for somebody starting maybe V-Series, or if you just like Dragon Empire in general. Kagero is one of my personal favorite clans, so I'm super excited to bring you guys this list. Also, this came from the premium reprint collection, whatever it was called. We will be having a bunch of different premium deck profiles on the channel, so I know typically we've been kind of like an Overdress and V premium kind of channel, but we are trying to get into premium a bit more and actually showcase some of that, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's hop right into this deck profile. Alright, before I begin, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards that you see here today, we do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. If you guys are interested in purchasing any of these, we ask that maybe you go through that link to help support the channel, absolutely no cost to you. Also, if you do enjoy this content, let us know by leaving a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps us out. Tons of other content on here, go check it out. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So I am actually proxying two of them. I still have two of them in the mail, but I didn't want to keep this deck profile any longer kind of waiting, so have a lot of other ones on the horizon. But this is Dragonic Overlord The Turnabout. This is the main core of the deck, the boss unit itself, really. So it's skill auto on Vanguard circle. Once per turn at the end of the battle that it attacks, we get to counterblast one, discard 2 cards from our hand, stand all of our front row units with Overlord in their card names, and this unit gets to drive -1 until the end of turn. And then if your opponent is on grade 3, all of your units with Overlord in their card name get an additional 10k. So that's really nice. Just pretty much buffing up your units, giving them the ability to attack again. You're getting another, so it's 1, 2, 3, what is that, 4, 5, yeah, 6 attacks total for the turn. It could possibly be 7 too, right? I counted that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And I'll show you how to get the 7th off as well. So in a Force clan, having that kind of pressure with the Force 2 under it, just restanding, swinging a bunch of times. If your opponent doesn't hit a defensive trigger, that's a tall order. That is really actually tough. And the nice thing about this too is on one of the restands, you're actually not going to lose that drive check. So I will show you guys again how to do that in just a little bit, but really the game plan is pop your Overlords down on your second grade 3 ride, restand them both with this guy, give them that +10, restand this guy another 2 times. Just really simple, easy, just classic beatdown Kagero. Very much going through your Vanguard focused. I feel like all Kagero is very Vanguard focused, but at the same time actually valuing your rear guards for once while still having that kind of Overlord theme to them. So yeah, running that at a 4 of absolute must. Alright, next up, and obviously I guess you probably guessed this, but this is going to be 4 of Dragonic Overlord. So the original one, this is just, there's the one that came right out of the trial deck. You can buy any of the special versions if you want, whatever you want. But this guy is very simple. It's just Van or Rearguard skill. Once per turn, Soul Blast 1, this guy gets an additional 10k. And then on Vanguard Circle, we don't really want to ride it if you do have to. I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, but definitely is not the strategy we're looking to do. On Van, once per turn, in this attacks, we get to Counterblast 1, discard 2 cards from our hand, and restand this unit, and then it gets in a -1 drive until the end of turn. So the attack has to hit, though, and most of your opponents will just block it out at this point in V-Series. Nobody's falling for that. So what we really want to do is have this restand, buff it up with that Soul Blast 10k, and yeah, just swing again with it. Very simple, very easy. Overlord is now a rear guard. It feels kind of weird, but it is what it is there. Alright, and then lastly, I run this out of 3 of, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but this is Dauntless Drive Dragon. So I was super on the fence with if I wanted this or not. Let me just go over the skill first, and I'll kind of get into it. Basically, at the end of battle, let our drive checks reveal no trigger units. We can give one of our rear guards an additional 10k, so it's kind of like you hit a trigger no matter what. On top of that, too, once per turn at the end of battle, this is attacked. If our hand has 4 or more cards, we can discard 3 cards from our hand, and then we can stand this unit. And then additionally, that when rode upon, your Vanguard gets all the skills up here, and except for the last one. So this enables our turnabout to swing again. So what you would do is ride this first on your first grade 3 ride, swing, you go into your turnabout the next turn. Let me pop that out. So with the turnabout, what you actually want to do, so you're going to swing, and then you are going to pop off this guy's skill because you don't lose a drive check. So you're going to restand him, and then you're going to swing again, and then you're going to use the regular guy, the turnabout skill to stand, and then you get -1 drive, and then one more time. So that's 1, 2, 3 swings with your Vanguard. Absolutely huge. Really is tough to block that out, and you're getting 5 drive checks overall, so it's a lot of cards in hand. And then you can also, obviously in between, you have to restand your Dragonic Overlords on your rearguard circle, but overall, I mean, that is really your kill turn. If you can't kill them on that, it's kind of tough in general, but I feel like it's not a hard thing to get off at all. I think this deck does what it does, and does it pretty consistently from what I've been playtesting. And yeah, I think Dauntless Drive really gets us there. I was trying it without, but I feel like when I was on the turnabout in my first turn, if I was going second, it felt okay, but I really needed all of those Dragonic Overlords. If you don't have 2 of them, there are some other things you can have in this deck, but it just feels more impactful when your whole front row is filled with Dragonic Overlord, and sometimes you need a little bit more time to get those in hand if you can't quite find them. Dauntless kind of buys you a turn, gives you a great restanding option the next turn over, so I really like it. I think that it's definitely a solid card overall. I'd like it at 3 just because once you ride it once, like, the chances are you're not going to get this off again, and even though we do want to ride it first, it just becomes like a dead clunky card in our hand in a lot of cases, so I am running it at 3. It's kind of always been my philosophy with that card. Some people want to run it at 4, some people will, if it's not incorrect to even take it out of this deck altogether. I just think that the deck performs a little bit better with it in there, so that's just my personal taste. Next up, moving right into the grade 2s, we actually have a lot of grade 3s in our deck, I just realized, but we are going to start off with this. So this was coming out of Clan Selection Volume 1 or 2, whichever one, the one that just passed. This guy, at the end of the battle, this attacked. If our opponent's rearguard was retired this turn, we get to retire this unit and draw a card. That's on rearguard circle, but its real skill, what we're using it for, is auto when rode upon. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and if you did not retire it, draw a card. So the fact of the matter is, this is a costless grade 2 that either A, forces our opponent to kind of waste a resource by calling a card to field, or it gets us a card in hand. So, you know, draw power is important. I think in Kagero in general, you definitely want to be drawing. We're super key piece reliant in this deck, so just a really nice costless kind of ride. On rearguard, we don't really use the skill too much. This is really our ride target first and foremost, so that's really all I will say about that, and no big deal. Moving right along, we're kind of slim on the grade 2s in this deck, honestly. I just find that it works a little bit better. I'm actually going to be running 2 of Toward Cannon Dragon, so sometimes when games drag on, you're going to find that, dragon. Anyway, so stupid. This is Toward Cannon Dragon. Let me actually go over it. Skill, act on Van or rearguard circle once per turn, counterblast 1, put a normal unit from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards, retire it, and if your hand has 4 or less cards, you get to draw a card. So if you're kind of trying to aggro them a little bit earlier in the game, you know, you have a smaller hand, the card draw helps. Just retiring something from their field is cool, but putting something back into deck, like if you, I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, you milled out, or you just had to drop, I think, a Dragonic Overlord, you had to PG something, whatever it is, it gets at least back in the deck. You know, at some point you're going to shuffle, maybe pull it off the top again, so I feel like that is kind of useful. This also enables the little counter charger and extra draw off of the Airmo, which we do run, spoiler alert, so has its uses in the deck. I don't think it's too bad. It does have that Van skill there, so if we have to ride it, not the worst thing in the world as well. But riding that at 2 of, and then the next card, these are the last grade 2s in the deck. Again, very slim package for the grade 2s in this deck. I'm actually running Burnrise Dragon, so interesting card, and I find that there are times you do want to use it, times where it's like super clutch, and then times where like, ah man, I just discarded a little bit too much from my hand. But overall, I think it definitely deserves a spot in the deck. Its skill, auto on rearguard circle. When our Vanguard restands by a card's ability, counterblast 1, discard a card from our hand, and then this unit gets an additional 15k and a crit until the end of turn. So what you can do with this card, let's say, you know, you're not going for the Dauntless play, you're not discarding 3 from your hand, and then, you know, discarding the cards for the Turnabout as well. What you can do is play this card. This card essentially, when you ride the Turnabout, you know, let's say you rode twice, you would have 2 force markers, right? Don't put him on a force marker circle, because he's going to inherently gain a crit by himself. This allows you to, you know, swing with the Overlord, swing with Turnabout, stand Overlord, swing that whole duo again, and then after that, you know, you can dump some triggers on here if you hit that. This just gets a little bit bigger. It's 25k boosted with an AK, 13k. You know, these are big numbers. You're 38k. You hit 1 trigger, boom, you're at 48k. 2 crit, potentially 3 crit. You know, if you put a trigger on it, like this gets very, very big, and I feel like this is actually something to put, you know, your foot on their throat, so to speak, when you don't exactly have like the ideal field. You can't find that second Overlord, you know, you don't have the Dauntless Drive kind of play going off, and it's too slow to go into it whenever you do find it. I find that this is a really decent backup grade 2, and yeah, one of the only grade 2 rearguards we really want to see. Again, the main deck flows through Dragonic Overlord, but if you need to, this is a decent backup ride, or I'm sorry, backup unit. Alright, moving right into the grade 1s then. So this is going to be, first and foremost, a consistency play. We are running Lava Flow Dragon, and again, if you're new to Vanguard, or new to V-Series in general, this is actually going to get reprinted, I think in November in English, for November 20th or 19th, one of those two. This is the top 5 searcher, every single clan has one. When you place it on Van or Rear, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a grade 3, and add it to hand. If you did add to hand, we have to discard a card from hand. So, you know, if you want second, you get that Quick Shield, you can just discard the Quick Shield, no big deal, or whatever card you really want. And then its additional 5k ability is during your turn, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this guy gets 5k. So just a really consistent play, just looking to potentially boost. You know, that 13k feels really, really nice when you are boosting, helps you hit those magic numbers, and I don't think there's really anything else that has to be said. Very, very good card overall, and again, very happy that all the grade 1 searchers are getting reprinted. And then more along that train of thought, we are actually running 3 of these. I was trying to run 4, but I just found that it ended up being a dead card a little bit later into the game. We never really use it for its first skill, but this is Dragon Knight Hishat. Its skill auto on rearguard circle when placed, CB1, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, choose an opponent's back row rearguard, and retire it. You do as much of the skill as possible, so the CB and, you know, Soul Blast 1 for the draw is okay, even if they don't have a back row rearguard. Can come in clutch if you really have like a pesky rearguard back there. You know, maybe it's a Sentinel Restrict thing, an Angel Feather, or just some kind of booster you don't want. But really, we're trying to conserve soul. Nothing really should use your soul because you want to be soul blasting for Dragonic Overlord. And sometimes if you go for like if you have 2 Dragonic Overlords and then you go into your second turn, second grade 3 ride, and you've soul blasted twice on your first grade 3, you know, you're gonna get really, really lean with soul. So using any amount of soul blast is really discouraged in this deck. I'm really using it for its second skill. When wrote upon, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 or greater card from among them, and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. So again, just we're super key piece reliant here, and I think that to have a really nice game, we need to have like the correct grade 3s, at least the Dauntless and the Turnabout, and like 1 Dragonic Overlord. So at earlier in the game, as soon as we can get those, that's definitely what we're looking for, and this guy helps us achieve that. Next up, as we can tell, like this deck uses a ton of counterblasts, so there are ways we can pop this off pretty much for free, the counter charge here. It pairs really well with the grade 2 ride target. Oh god, I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. It's, what was it? Break Breath Dragon, yeah. This guy is Flame of Hope Eremo. This did also, I believe, yeah, this got reprinted. I think it's reprinted twice now, yeah. Continuous on rearguard circle during the battle of boosted. This guy gets an additional 3k, so nice little 11k booster. And then when your opponent's rearguard is retired during your turn, cost to retire this unit, draw a card, and countercharge 1. So basically, when you ride onto your grade 2, you can pop one of their cards. If you did pop one of them, boom, you countercharge, you draw a card. This helps you push just a little bit more early aggression in the beginning of the game. Maybe you want to call it a rearguard circle in the front row, but I typically just put it behind my Vanguard. I think the card draw and countercharge is useful for us in a deck that uses so many counterblasts. So I think it's a really decent card overall, and I definitely like it. I'm running it at that 3 of. I find that I'm running a lot of different grade 1s, like I think that there definitely is room for kind of variety in this deck, and with that being said, I think this is definitely one of the choices I like. When the game goes on longer, I find that I need this. This guy is Dragonic Gaius, so it's very interesting, not really a card you typically see in Kagero, just a little bit of spice. Its skill auto on rearguard circle. When it boosts a grade 3 or greater unit, counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul, and the boosted unit gets an additional crit until the end of battle. So this is good because you are going to be boosting, you know, your what was it? You're going to be soul blasting to kind of give yourself that 10k, and sometimes if you can't re-ride, if you find that you just cannot re-ride, your soul's going to be really, really lean at times. So this guy helps you just put another card into soul, keeps that pressure on. So if you're going to aggro early and go like double Dragonic Overlord on rearguard circles, gonna soul blast 2, this is like definitely necessary to set up your next turn. Let's say you do re-ride, put this into soul, you have at least another 2 in soul, so you can get that same play off again next turn. So overall, I like it. You can cut it if you want. You can up Dauntless. You can up maybe the Hishat, the grade 1, maybe add an extra grade 2. I'm going to show you some extra things you could kind of consider as well, but I kind of like it for now. It keeps the pressure really high on your first grade 3 ride, especially if they're like on grade 2. Alright, and then wrapping up the grade 1s over here. This is really a push play. This is a win more kind of card. I find that it is really effective when it does go off. This is going to be Purple Gem Carbuncle. Its skill auto on rearguard circle once per turn. When your Vanguard stands, this unit gets 15k until the end of turn. So this is great to boost somebody. Giving a unit an extra 20k is absolutely huge. So you slam them with a 23k body, whatever it is. Boom, you restands a 33k body plus that 20. That's a 53k body. If you're swinging on the Vanguard too, you can boost that Vanguard. It can be really huge. Overall, like I really like this card. It feels great when it's in the back row and it goes off. So this can definitely seal some games for you. I definitely suggest including this in my deck, in your deck actually. Alright, getting into the trigger units, then I'll go over some of the cards you can kind of replace in this deck if you didn't want to get some of them, but I'm starting off, this is just the plain old, good old 4, 4, 8, so I'm running 4 Perfect Guard draw triggers, 4 heals, 4 critical triggers. Let me just get the name in there. A lot of people like to see the name, they're not sure of the name, but that is, what is that, Demonic Dragon, Mage, Hakshasha, I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, you can pause and check that out, and then Embodiment of Spear Tar. So I honestly think, and then Undu obviously for a starter, I honestly think I might go, I don't know, I might try some more draws in this deck just because we do want to draw into our key pieces. Being on Force 2, we inherently have like a ton of crit pressure in general, so I think that at times I do wish I had a little bit more just to discard in my hand, and I think those draw triggers would be perfect for it. So yeah, I might honestly just try like an extra 2 and then maybe an extra 4, but right now I'm just keeping it plain old classic 4, 4, 8. And then when the heal triggers do come out in the new V clan selection, you can put that in there, but honestly, like we want a ton of counterblast, we want to be taking damage, and that shield value really helps, especially in a force deck. It can mean a whole lot. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to experiment with that and see what the meta kind of shapes up to be, and if I want to swap that in the grade 3 heal guardians or not. So yeah, awesome. Let's get into a kind of short demo of what you could kind of replace in the deck, and then we'll get into a test hand right after. Alright, so there's really 2 cards that come to mind with what you could kind of replace in the deck. Instead of Yellow Gem Carbuncle, you could be playing this card. This is going to be Heat Shot Dragon. Essentially, when your Vanguard stands, you get to stand this guy as well. So you can boost your Vanguard initially, make it a 21k attack, and then on top of that, you know, restand it. It's going to be an additional, instead of 23, it would be 33 the next time around. So I don't know, to me, I kind of like that 20k extra like boost a little bit more. I think it's just a little bit more of a final push in a way. Also, another card, this is really odd, but I find that the 10k shield from this guy really helps. This is Embodiment of Shield Lam. So you could replace Burn Rise if you didn't want to kind of go into that play. This also really helps too because you can be kind of aggressive on your grade 2 turn, and if they don't have a lot of retire stuff, like let's say I place 1 or 2 of these guys down on my grade 2 turn, try to rush them down, I can then intercept the next turn. Like if they don't retire these, I can intercept, and it's not like I really lost value. There's still shield value I'm gaining. I'm still like protecting myself, but still putting that early aggression on, just making it a little bit easier for my grade 3 Vanguards a little bit later on. So I think that this is actually a decent option. You don't really want to run more than like 2 of them. So yeah, aside from that, I don't think there's any other switches or changes I would make. You can take Dauntless Drive Dragon out and maybe up the grade 2 count just a little bit, but I like that Dauntless play. It really good when it goes off. It feels really good. So yeah, let's hop into a test and I'll show you guys how the deck kind of plays out and just my vision of it. So I'm not really sure what happened to the audio here, but it did end up cutting out, so I have to kind of dub this over, so forgive me if, you know, I'm trying to like remember exactly what I did at that moment, but overall this is a really fun deck, really great deck for starting off, like I said. So if you're new to V-Series, new in general just to the format or whatever, just really like Kagero, I definitely suggest this deck. I'm having a blast with it. When you get off those double Overlord turns, like it feels really good. So overall, I do enjoy it and definitely do recommend. Some of the weaknesses, like if you're playing against Narukami, that like bind your cards away. It's really tough to start like recurring that. I also think that, you know, anything with like general retire, getting rid of your Overlords, if you're not ready for your kill turn, like, and you pop them down too early, it could be a little detrimental, but overall protect your rear guards and kind of hope for the best in that regard. Alright, so let's see what we get out of our starting hand. I might put back that PG. I'm thinking I might guess to do that. Also a grade 1, just because we want to find so many of our grade 3s in our hand, just to have the proper kind of like aggressive turn. So yeah, it looks like I did find a turnabout, so I am going first. It's not a bad play to kind of go on that first. If you're going second, I would say just don't even worry about the turnabout. Like, it's, unless like you think you can really hold out, maybe, but if they're on grade 3, like, you might as well just go into the regular turnabout kind of play. So, all right, or did I say turnabout? I meant Dauntless Drive Dragon in my hand. All right, cool. So I have a pretty decent hand overall. Let's see. Obviously, the choice here is to, yeah. So we rode the He Shot just because we're going to get an additional top 5 search after we ride on top of it. And then we're going to put down the Lava Flow Dragon just to get a little bit more. So we do end up getting another grade 3 into our hand, which is really, really nice. And let's see what I ditch here. It's kind of a tough decision sometimes what to ditch because everything is pretty useful. There's nothing that's like, oh, I don't really need this. I think I'm going to ditch the Torrid Cannon here. It sucks because the Torrid Cannon could have a decent play with the countercharger, but we don't really have that countercharger in our hand, so it seems like the most likely option to ditch. I really do want the Purple Gem Carbuncle for that restand. That 50k restand, 53k restand is just so brutal on your Vanguard. You don't lose drive checks off of the turnabout too, which is like really, really nice. All right, we're going to, there we are. Or off of, I'm sorry, the Dauntless Drive Dragon, you don't lose drive checks. Alright, so we took a damage for their turn, and boom, drew into another Overlord, which is really, really good, actually. So we're going to ride over there, costless grade 2, pretty decent, and then we're going to search the top 5 for another, oh, actually, did I do the search for the top 5, right? Oh, yeah, that is what I did previously, okay. Or did I skip that? I'm not even sure. Well, if I did skip it, that was a misplay. You should look for the top 5 off of the He Shot. I think I did, though. So we did find a turnabout. That is the proxied card right there. I'm just missing 2 of those right now, still coming in the mail. Passed it over to our opponent. We took 2 damage there. Got a nice defensive trigger. Shuts them off, let's say. So we're going to stand and draw, and we are going to go into the Dauntless here just because we did go first. So that is definitely a decent option. So we are then going to go into Force 2. Now, you don't have to do the restand. You could have just like a vanilla turn, but it really doesn't set you up for like a great kind of position later on. We could go into a very, very aggressive play here because of the burnout. So let's see. Yeah, so I am going to swing here. There we are. So got 1, got another turnabout, and 2. Got a power, so I'm going to put the power on Burn Rise, or actually maybe the Vanguard, whatever it was, just because it is going to restand. I think I am going to go for, and I draw off the draw trigger, I think I am going to go for the restand here. Yeah, I think I was feeling it. Alright. Yeah, so I'm going to ditch one of those, because all I need is really 2. I'm actually going to ditch the proxied one. I'm going to remember in a second. So Overlord, I put the Overlord accidentally back in my hand. I think I'm going to ditch that guy. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so kind of annoying to ditch 3 cards, especially when so much, like, there's so many key pieces in this deck that mean a lot. But when you restand, I'm going to give that 20k to the the Purple Gem Carbuncle. I'm also going to pop the discard cost for the Burn Rise and just have like a really, really aggressive play. This is kind of like a balls to the wall play, but you don't typically need to do this. Just wanted to demonstrate what you can do. So I'm going to drive again off of this guy. Let's see what we get. 1 and 2. Do get another power, so that's going to be 2 crit. That's 25, 35, 45. That is a 65k column now, which is really crazy with the Purple Gem Carbuncle. 2 crit, so there was 2 crit swings off my Vanguard, as well as the Purple Gem Carbuncle. I think it would be 65. It'd be 55 if I didn't put the extra 10k on the Dauntless Drive. I forgot which one I did put it on, but potential to have that on your first grade 3 turn. Crazy, crazy numbers here. All right, we're going to pass it over to our opponent. We took that damage there. We do get a defensive trigger. Boom. Okay, what else are we going to do? We're going to guard. Guard again. Guarding some more. Okay. And there we are. Let's say if I think the next turn I did kind of discard a little bit too much from my hand in order to get off the triple restand on the, or triple swing off of the Dauntless. I mean the Turnabout. If I just held on to one more of those shields, like, I would have been fine. I just went really conservative and said, you know, they're balls to the wall, kind of giving us a lot of swings. So, all right, so I popped down the 2 Overlords there. I'm gonna have the double restand, which is really nice. I am going to then what are we doing over here? Soul Blasting 2, giving my Overlords 10k each. And again, put the force marker wherever you put the yellow I mean, the purple gem Carbuncle, the Carbuncle with that extra boost is just so impactful. So I'm gonna swing. I'm gonna go 1, 2. Oh, whoops! I think I meant to swing with the. I kind of screwed this test hand up in a little ways, but I'm really pressed for time with recording, so just kind of kept the roll. But I should have swung with those 2 first, then swung with him, and then I'm gonna discard 2 cards from my hand, counterblast 1, and then I'm gonna restand my entire front row here. It really should go Dauntless first because you don't lose the drive checks, and then the turnabout, that skill. So you basically get 3 attacks on the Vanguard, and then 2 attacks per rearguard. So that's, yeah, what is that? 7 attacks total, 4, 3, yeah, 7. So really impactful, especially when you have such powerful units overall. The Force 2 really puts a ton of pressure. Like Force 1, the numbers are nice, but the pressure for Force 2 is just too unbeatable. So yeah, I don't think I actually got the correct restand off just because I didn't have enough in my hand. I think you needed 4 or more cards in your hand for Dauntless, which I didn't exactly have, but just be cognizant of that when you play the game. Overall, this is like a really fun deck. I think that if you have these cards laying around, like all you have to do is really slap in just these new turnabouts for a couple dollars, and like you have a brand new deck that's like really fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Again, we have that TCG affiliate link down below if you're interested in purchasing any of these cards. This is Alex from Team Generations signing out.